The sound comes before the image. A hush, like silk brushing against old wooden floors. You are not here yet. You are still drifting between memory and mist. But then, there it is. The scent of smoke from damp firewood, the distant hush of wind stirring through tall rice fields, and the sound of bare feet pressing into earth that remembers everything. You open your eyes, but it feels more like closing them, because this is not a place you see. It's a place that remembers you. There is a village, quiet as breath held too long. No names on gates, no laughter crossing rooftops, just shutters that blink slowly at the sun, as if waking each day was more duty than desire. You're not here to meet anyone. The people here speak in chores, not words, and they do not speak of her, not anymore. She left the village like steam from a teacup, briefly warm and quickly gone. No scream, no ceremony, only the silence that followed her departure, as thick as mourning, but without the luxury of a grave. She had no title, no permission, just limbs that remembered rhythms no one else did, and a hunger that did not fit inside the bowls they gave her. Her dance was not a performance, it was shedding. Each movement stripped the weight of obedience from her bones, flung the silence off her skin like cold water. Her hands moved like wind between reeds, fluid, unseen, necessary. But her feet were always cold, no matter how fast she spun. You wonder, why would someone leave a place where the fields are green, the roofs are whole, the seasons predictable? But that's the trick, isn't it? Comfort and confinement are twins. In her village, girls did not grow, they repeated. They bowed. They learned to survive on half sentences, half dreams, half selves. To leave was a scandal. To stay was a slow erasure. So one dawn, she placed nothing in a bundle. Just air, just will, just the soft rebellion of motion. The roads do not remember names, but they remember steps. Hers were quiet but insistent, like a question walking. What does it cost to belong to no one? And if you give up being seen, do you begin to exist? The wind did not carry her. It fled with her, away from the village that forgot how to dance, towards something that looked like freedom, but tasted like dust. A life not marked by applause, but by movement, temporary, fragile, real. You are here now. Close your eyes, not to sleep, but to feel. This is not a story. It is a return. Let the wind guide you. Let her silence speak. Let the dance begin. There is no music here, only the sound of repetition, the scrape of sandals on packed dirt, the sigh of pots placed exactly where they were yesterday. If a drum once beat in this village, it has long since been buried beneath the weight of routine. The children do not hum, the elders do not sway. Even the wind, when it passes, seems to tiptoe with caution, as if not to disturb the hush that drapes over everything like ash. She did not dance for joy. That's the first lie they tell. There was no joy here to begin with. What she did was shiver, outwardly, beautifully. Her body moved the way memories do, half-formed, full of ache. A gesture wasn't a celebration, it was an exorcism. She danced to peel off the silence, to shake loose the eyes that watched but never saw. Her hands spoke languages the village no longer recognized. And still, no one applauded. They only watched. The women watched with lowered chins and tight fingers, as if afraid that movement might be contagious. The men watched with a caution sharpened by fear, not of her, but of the mirror she held up. A body in motion is a body that remembers it can leave, and that was dangerous. Girls here were not taught to chase, but to wait, not to open, but to hold. They were raised like wells, deep, still, useful. The only rhythm allowed was the ticking of expectation. She was not a daughter who misbehaved. She was a reflection that cracked the smooth surface of obedience. And so they named her with whispers, reckless, possessed, ungrateful. But never once did they ask what she dreamed of, because to ask would mean admitting they too once dreamed. The night before she left, her feet ached from dancing in secret. The earth beneath her felt like it had teeth, biting back each step. She wrapped her shawl around her shoulders, not for warmth, but for memory, as if fabric could remember what people chose to forget. Leaving was a scandal, staying was a sentence. In the stillness that followed her absence, the village exhaled. Not relief, not grief, something quieter. The sound of a door shutting from the inside, and no one asked where she had gone, as if forgetting her was part of survival, as if memory was more dangerous than absence, and perhaps it was. After all, she had shown them the one thing they feared more than disobedience, the possibility of wanting more. You wake up before even the silence is ready to rise. The air is a dull gray, too heavy to be called morning, too hollow to be called hope. The rooster hasn't crowed yet, but your body moves anyway, as if dragged by an invisible thread knotted by necessity. Your bedding, if it can be called that, is a worn mat that still carries the shape of your exhaustion from the night before. You peel yourself from it with the tenderness of someone touching a bruise. The fabric that clothes you, homespun and unyielding, scrapes against your skin like it resents being worn again. Each fold carries dust from yesterday's path, and the seams carry the smell of your own tiredness, fermented in silence. There is no luxury of choice, only the familiarity of discomfort. You wrap yourself tightly, not for modesty, but to contain the quiet rebellion swelling somewhere in your chest. Breakfast is a cracked bowl, still wet from last night's wash, still carrying the ghost of old grain. Half-cooked millet rests inside like an apology, chewy, tepid, and stubborn. You eat it because hunger is not poetic, and there are no alternatives. It clings to your teeth, to your resolve, offering neither comfort nor satisfaction. It is food, but only just. Your tongue learns not to complain. Complaints echo in empty stomachs. The house smells of burnt straw and resignation. Smoke from the cooking fire weaves itself into your hair, your sleeves, your memory. The scent stays with you like a shadow you cannot shake. The floorboards creak, not with age, but with the weight of routines performed too many times without change. Each step is a reminder that you are still here, that nothing is different, that the door remains closed because it was never supposed to open. There is no mirror, only a bucket filled with yesterday's water. You lean over it and see yourself, rippling, blurred, unkind. The face looking back is yours, but slightly undone, as if it too is questioning the day ahead. The reflection tells no lies. It only shows you what the village would rather you ignore. That you are tired, that your eyes want to look somewhere else, anywhere else, and that your mouth is tired of holding in words it was never taught to say. You do not pack much. One satchel perhaps, with threadbare cloth and an old hairpin. Nothing that would slow your feet. No letters, no tokens, no permissions. Approval is a weight you cannot afford to carry. You are not running, you are releasing.
You walk toward the edge of the village, not like someone escaping, but like someone returning to a part of herself long exiled. Behind you, doors remain shut. No one calls your name. No one asks where you're going. The path ahead is narrow, uneven, and unpromising. But at least it belongs to you. And in that moment, before the world has the chance to hurt you again, you are free, in the quietest, most invisible way. Like a breath no one noticed leaving the room.
The path unfolds beneath you like a question no one wants answered. Dirt clings to your soles, not out of affection, but out of hunger. It devours your steps as if trying to pull you back into the earth you dared to abandon. Each mile mocks your softness. Your feet, once trained to bow gracefully, now split and blister in places you never thought flesh could break. Stones lodge themselves between your toes like tiny verdicts. You do not walk, you endure. Sleep is less a destination and more a compromise. Some nights, it finds you beneath a tree whose roots dig into your spine like unwelcome memories. Other nights, it hides from you completely, and you lie awake with the sky too open above you and your thoughts too loud beside you. Sometimes you find a barn, abandoned but smelling of old labor, where the straw is damp and mice negotiate space with your ribs. You do not ask for comfort, you ask only not to be noticed. Your body starts to murmur against you. It doesn't scream, it's too tired for that. It hums in pain, sore arches that burn even at rest, a stomach that forgets what fullness feels like, a throat dry from withholding both water and truth. Hunger begins to change you. You start thinking not in sentences, but in cravings, salt, heat, silence. You chew leaves once, just to feel something bitter. People pass, strangers with tired eyes and faster feet. Some glance at you with suspicion, some with pity. One woman asks, "Are you lost?" You want to say yes. You want to say you were lost long before you stepped onto this road. But instead, you offer the only answer that feels honest. I am not found. It sounds strange aloud, but it tastes true. You hear of places in whispers, towns where dancers perform for coins, inns that trade shelter for labor, men who don't ask questions. But these are only rumors, drifting through conversations like leaves across water. You follow them, not because you believe, but because belief would be heavier than your feet could manage. You carry no map, no guide, just a will stitched together from stubbornness and sorrow, a threadbare thing, but still intact. And so you walk, past fields that do not invite you, through weather that does not excuse you, beneath skies that do not bless you. The road offers no apology, no explanation, no reward, but it is honest. And after a life of invisible prisons, even honesty laced with pain feels like a kind of mercy. The town does not welcome you. It absorbs you. You arrive beneath a sky smeared with soot and light, in streets that whisper in a language of footsteps and transaction. There are lanterns here, yes, and they burn all through the night, casting trembling halos on tiled roofs and painted doors. But no one looks up. Illumination in this place is not for wonder, it is for commerce. Your name is no longer required. It is replaced by gestures, by bowing, by the slow, practiced smile of someone who knows how to be watched. They ask for a dance. They do not ask for your story. The stage is polished, the audience rich, the floor warmer than the road, but it is not softer. Your movements now earn coin, applause, invitations you do not accept. But something inside you withers each time the crowd claps at what you meant as confession. Your fingers ache in new ways, not from frost or fatigue, but from elegance. You've learned how to bend them just right, how to gesture with perfect grace, how to curl them like smoke curling from incense, measured, aesthetic, controlled. Your back bends too, not in reverence, but in performance. Your body has become fluent in a language it does not believe in. You fled invisibility, and yet, here you are again, seen by all but known by none. You are decoration, entertainment, a momentary distraction between sips of plum wine and laughter that does not include you. The irony is sharp, but you no longer wince at its taste. It is a flavor you've grown accustomed to. They throw coins. You bow. You eat well, finally, but alone. Your room is clean, but silent. Your skin is perfumed, but untouched. You are praised, but never truly perceived. And so the town, in its endless hunger for novelty, swallows you whole, not with malice, but with indifference. It chews on your spirit with the patience of a place that has done this many times before. You are not the first to be digested. You will not be the last. And yet, you dance, because it is the only way you remember who you were before they called it beautiful. You wake before the light, not because anyone calls you, but because your body remembers what it is to wait for something that never arrives. The air is still, and so are you, suspended in that breathless pause between movement and meaning. You stretch your limbs like someone rehearsing being alive. The ache is always there now, tucked beneath your shoulder blades, in the joints of your knees, behind the quiet place in your throat where laughter used to live. Your performance has become a rhythm, as predictable as the tolling of the bells in the temple you pass each morning. The stage welcomes you like a familiar betrayal. The silk of your costume whispers against your skin, a softness that does not comfort. The colors of the audience's robes change each evening: crimson, gold, indigo, pale jade, but their eyes do not. They reflect you, but they do not reach you. You finish each dance bowed, not from reverence, but from repetition. And when the lights dim, no one waits. No conversation follows. No voice calls you by name, not even your own. Your shadow walks beside you as you return to your room, longer than you remember it being, as if solitude has grown limbs and now keeps pace. It does not ask questions. It does not leave. The food is better here, yes. It arrives hot, balanced, artfully plated. But flavor, you've learned, requires more than spice. It requires company. It requires someone across the table whose silence says more than noise ever could. You eat mechanically, chew, swallow, pretend fullness. Sometimes, without meaning to, you laugh. A soft, strange sound, the ghost of a former version of yourself echoing through a body that no longer recognizes it. But never in front of others. Laughter is too revealing. It reminds people that you exist beyond the stage, beyond the silhouette they've come to purchase. Your loneliness no longer startles you. It has matured. It no longer hides in corners or strikes at midnight. It walks beside you now, measured, composed, an elegant guest in the house of your days. It does not complain. It does not comfort. It simply is. And this, perhaps, is what freedom costs, not the price of escape, but the interest it accrues in silence. Not all who run are lost. Some are simply late to themselves. You realize this not in grand epiphanies, but in the quiet between steps, in the pause before the next breath. Her footsteps, long faded from the village path, still echo, not loudly, not demanding attention, but in the soft creak of floorboards, the way wind slips through half-shut windows, the silence left behind by someone who once refused to be only what was asked of her. Her story was not carved into stone. There are no shrines bearing her name. No festival recalls her dance. But she moved through rooms, through lives, through a world that preferred stillness over truth. And in moving, she became something not remembered, but felt. A tremor beneath the calm, a flicker behind the eyes of girls who now hesitate, wondering if they too might belong to no one. She is not a tragedy, nor is she a triumph. She is the gesture between both, a breath held in the chest of time, a line of calligraphy written in the rain, gone before it dries, yet its motion lingers in the wrist that dared to write it. Nothing permanent, everything meaningful. The wind does not regret the village. It simply does not return. It moves on, not because the past is unworthy, but because the present keeps unfolding, and some spirits are made of motion, not memory. She was not trying to be more, only to be, and for that, she had to leave. You are left not with a conclusion, but with a hum, low and persistent, like something ancient stirring under your ribs. You close your eyes, not to forget, but to carry her more gently. Let the quiet settle, let the ink dry, not because the story ends, but because it continues, softly, elsewhere.